Segnaletica orizzontale.
Horizontal signs. The road markings are drawn on the road pavement and must be respected and observed by the drivers of the vehicles. It can be yellow, white, or blue. Regulatory inscriptions are those provided for by the rules of the Highway Code, which with their presence make us aware of the traffic regulations in that specific stretch of roadway. The regulatory inscriptions that we can find on the pavement are the yellow bus written in the areas intended for the bus stop in public service. The yellow taxi inscription to indicate areas reserved for the parking of taxis in service. Slow down to regulate traffic. The writing indicating the name of a place. Upon completion of the directional arrow, the wording stop completes the relative vertical signal. The inscription PL with St. Andrew's Cross to signal a level crossing. Now let's see in detail the various types of road markings and the behavior they impose on drivers along the center of the carriageway. The middle strip can be continuous or discontinuous, dashed. They are usually white in color, but may be yellow in the presence of road works. Discontinuous white stripe in the center of the carriageway is the strip that divides the carriageway into two lanes. On two-way roads, with two lanes it divides the directions of travel and allows, in case you want to overtake, to temporarily occupy the other lane, as long as the visibility conditions allow it. The discontinuous strip can be overcome, so it also allows left-hand turning moving towards the center of the carriageway or reversing. If the road is two-way, provided it is carried out in safe conditions, however, it is not possible to circulate on horseback. In a one-way traffic road, with the signs shown in the figure, the carriageway is divided into two lanes, of which the one on the left is normally reserved for overtaking. In this case, overtaking will also be allowed when cornering or near bumps, as there is no risk of encountering vehicles moving in the opposite direction. In addition, on a one-way street you can walk in parallel rows, but only in case of heavy traffic. We pay attention, however, that the U-turn will be prohibited because we will be driving in the wrong direction. Continuous white stripe in the center of the carriageway. The continuous white stripe in the middle in the figure divides the carriageway into two lanes and cannot be crossed. However, it allows the overtaking maneuver without exceeding it, provided that there are no other reasons that prohibit it. It divides the directions of travel in two-way streets and can be found on the uphill stretch of a bump or near pedestrian crossings, as it is not allowed to cross the continuous strip. Consequently, it is forbidden to make a U-turn and it is also forbidden to march on horseback.
Doppia striscia bianca continua al centro della carreggiata.
Continuous double white stripe in the center of the carriageway. The double continuous strip in the figure divides the traffic directions on two-way roads, with carriageways with more than two lanes. It cannot be overcome, for example, to overtake. However, it allows overtaking without overtaking it. Unless otherwise indicated, it does not allow you to turn left and does not allow you to make a U-turn. Finally, it can be integrated with nails or retroreflective diopters, useful to further signal the prohibition of exceeding.
Striscia continua centrale, affiancata alla sua sinistra da una striscia discontinua.
Central continuous strip, flanked on its left by a discontinuous strip, can be found before intersections, usually on two-way roads and can never be crossed due to the presence of the central continuous strip on our left. We can find it before a curve, before a level crossing or on the uphill stretch of a bump.
Striscia discontinua centrale, affiancata alla sua sinistra da una striscia continua.
Discontinuous strip, central, flanked on its left by a continuous strip. It can be found after the intersections on two-way roads, having on our left the discontinuous strip like the vehicle in the figure. We will be allowed to overtake by crossing both lines. We find it immediately after a bend, after a level crossing, or on the downhill stretch.
Striscia bianca laterale continua che separa la carreggiata dalla corsia di emergenza.
Continuous white stripe that separates the carriageway from the emergency lane. The emergency lane cannot be occupied for passing or overtaking because it is intended for the transit of rescue vehicles. However, the continuous strip that delimits the emergency lane can be crossed in case of need, such as traveler's malaise, and can be used in the event of a vehicle breakdown for up to 3 hours. Discontinuous side white stripe can always be overcome and separates the carriageway from rest areas, driveways or secondary branches. The white side stripe, discontinuous in the figure, separates the carriageway from a rest area and can always be crossed to stop. It divides the carriageway by an acceleration lane and allows vehicles to cross it to get onto the highway. Find the edge of the main road separating it from that of the secondary road and separating the carriageway from the driveways.
Strisce di guida sulle intersezioni, incroci.
Guide strips on crossroads intersections. The discontinuous white stripes on the intersections in the figure are guide strips useful for drivers to favor the right trajectory, while the stripes in the figure are discontinuous curved stripes that are used to make the left turn correctly, without taking the wrong road. Engage. We pay attention in the quizzes. When turned from the left we will have the discontinuous strip on our left, while the center of the intersection remains on our right. In the presence of the guide strips in the figure there are no obligatory paths for all vehicles. The vehicle can go straight there. The vehicle can go in any direction. Vehicle B can turn left after giving way to the vehicle. The signage, which represents a traffic island, the traffic island in the figure, made with oblique white stripes, indicates a stretch of road forbidden for the transit and parking of vehicles and imposes obligatory routes for the vehicles in the figure. In particular, in the presence of the traffic island shown in the figure, vehicle C must turn right, vehicle B must turn right and the vehicle is obliged to continue straight.
Striscia trasversale continua.
Continuous cross strip. The transverse white stripe indicates where drivers must stop and is only found when there is a stop sign, such as the red traffic light, or in the presence of the stop sign. Completed by the written painted on the road pavement, indicating the point where it is necessary to stop to give
Segnaletica nei pressi di un passaggio a livello.
precedence signs near a level crossing. This sign is located near a level crossing of any type. Calls for caution when approaching the level crossing, paying attention to the possible arrival of trains.
Corsie di preselezione.
Pre-selection lanes. With the signs in the figure it is possible to change lanes as long as the lines are still dashed. The left lane allows the driver to continue straight or turn left and the right lane allows the driver to continue straight or turn right, while the middle lane only allows the driver to continue straight.
Frecce direzionali nelle corsie di preselezione.
Directional arrows in the pre-selection lanes. Directional arrows drawn inside the lanes indicate to drivers the directions allowed at the intersection and allow them to get into the chosen lane when the stripes are still discontinuous. They are also straight to right combined arrow for lanes intended for those who must continue straight to the right and obliged to follow the indicated direction. If the lane strips are continuous, let's see more examples. In the example in the figure, the lane only allows the driver to turn left and lane B allows the driver to continue straight and turn left, while lane C is the only one that allows to turn right. In this example, lanes A, B and C represent cars in the figure do not allow the driver to continue straight, but allow you to turn right and left.
Segnaletica di attraversamento pedonale.
Pedestrian crossing signs. This sign indicates, both inside and outside built-up areas, a pedestrian crossing where pedestrians have priority over passing vehicles. If placed on secondary extra-urban roads, it must be preceded by the pedestrian crossing danger sign and can be integrated with a special vertical pedestrian crossing sign and invites you to moderate your speed to give priority to pedestrians crossing. It can also be preceded on the right by a yellow zigzag stripe as shown in the figure, to improve the visibility of the crossing.
Area di fermata autobus.
Bus stop area. This sign indicates the space for the bus stop, trolley bus and Articulated buses in public line service. The zigzag strip is used by buses to facilitate the approaching maneuver and to leave. It forbids parking 24 hours a day, but not stopping even in the parts with a yellow zigzag stripe.
Segni gialli e neri lungo il bordo del marciapiede.
Yellow and black signs along the curb. The yellow and black signs painted on the vertical edge of the pavement indicate that it is not possible to park on that side of the road. All vehicles, including taxis,
Parcheggio per invalidi.
the disabled parking stop is allowed. The yellow boundary strips in the figure identify a parking area reserved for disabled people and must be left free to allow disabled people to enter and exit the vehicle.
Velocità consigliata.
Recommended speed. The inscription in the figure placed on the pavement indicating the recommended speed in that lane.
Dosso artificiale.
The artificial bone. The device in the figure is an artificial bump. Speed retarder element installed on the road forces vehicles to slow down in order not to cause damage to the elastic suspension.